It's so nice to see you. Thank you for being here.
Are you ready? I hope so.
No, you're going to be great. You're going to be great.
What time is it?
I know. It's like 9.
Yeah. 25.
Day 4. How do you bring your global and international perspective to your role?
Snowflake operates in over 50 markets around the world today. And there are different nuances of different markets around the world. And I think as a global leader, you really need to have that empathy and understanding that things are different there. You cannot just go in and say, this is how we're going to do it everywhere. You need to put a lot of trust in your local teams that they know that market and they know what's going to be best in that market.
It's interesting. We've had this conversation a few times with B2C CMOs, B2B CMOs. It feels like this balance of global versus local is really on the minds of many leaders. Do you have a framework that you use for that? Do you and your teams have a rubric that helps you understand how to balance that?
You need to really make sure that you have people in local markets who truly understand those markets, but also understand, right, that you need to operate as one global company. You need to have one global, positioning, worldwide. You're serving global customers. One big piece is just around localization, which is incredibly important in markets like Korea and Japan, right? Everything needs to be translated and it needs to be perfect.
How did you break through from a KPI objectives perspective? Yeah. What, typically, and I would say maybe more the rule, you are the exception of having not arguing over who gets credit for the business outcomes.
In the early days, when I joined, there was all these discussions around marketing qualified leads and all that, right? And from a marketing perspective, we can change every day what is a marketing qualified lead. And if you talk about all your thousands of marketing qualified leads you have generated, and if the sales teams, they don't feel it on their side, they don't see the impact, what's the point? So at that point, it was very focused on driving the qualified meetings for the sales organization that really evolved into marketing owning the entire sales pipeline. And if we own the sales pipeline, it drives the right behavior from a marketing standpoint. It's not just about driving demand and marketing qualified opportunities. The most important thing is to, again, drive pipeline in a closing business. Those are the key metrics you need to focus on.
And as you're talking, I'm thinking with that ownership, the level of conversion, you must see a really high level of conversion, because if you're incentivized to see it all the way through the funnel, it's not just the volume of leads, it's the quality and the volume of leads.
No, exactly right. I mean, the most important thing is, of course, to drive demand within your target accounts. In the early days, when our sales team moved into a named account strategy execution, we also moved into then our account-based marketing execution. So it's really being aligned on those same objectives. And at Snowflake, it's really been a culture of extreme alignment, not just between sales and marketing, it's also across all other functions. Really breaking down the silos between people. That's so incredibly important. If everyone is operating in silos, right, you move so much slower. It's really when you can get everyone to operate like one team, that's really when you can go out and conquer the world.
So you're in maybe a category of one of people that have taken a number of startups, and not just one or two, but 4, from startups to IPO. Tell me about the lessons learned through those processes.
I think in the early days, when you come in as a CMO, it's so important to understand what are the priorities here, aligning with the business priorities. Quickly understand who the customers are, spending a lot of time with customers. And I think the hard part every day is that we need to remind ourselves to think outside in. I can catch myself every day thinking from the inside out, right? But really putting yourselves in the shoes, of the customers, and really understand who you're serving, what their true pain points, are, and aligning, with those. But I think a lot of CMOs come in and might not understand what are the immediate priorities. And you only have maybe 6 months, a year to really prove your worth to this company. So if you start at the wrong end, I think that's sometimes where things go wrong. You need to understand how I'm going to have impact on the business in the next 3 months, 6 months, in the next, year. I think that's super important.
If you had to describe the future of marketing in 1 to 3 words, how would you describe it?
Right now, everyone is talking about, hyper personalization, and marketing has always been about relevance, and timing. And I can say there's no better time than right now to be a marketer, and there's no better time to be a consumer as well, because everything we do now is going to be hyper relevant to the consumer, right? Every day we as consumers are being bombarded by irrelevant things, stealing our time, right? And as marketers, we don't want to steal people's time either, right? Unnecessary. But that kind of intersection of, for us marketing, there's being extremely relevant, and for the consumer to really get messages and education that is relevant to them, that's completely unique. We've never been at this point in history.
I love that. Very optimistic.
Very optimistic.
I love it.